Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. And we have been discussing chapter 7. So, before we begin, let us chant the pranam mantras. And we have Uma Kumar already joined in. And let us chant the pranam mantras as we do every session. And we have been discussing something very intensively. We also have Vinodji joining us now. Vinodji, Hare Krishna, welcome to the session. Um,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
I missed all of you last Sunday. I could not conduct the session, but then this week we could somehow make it up. But very nice to have all of you back. So, like we always do, let us begin with pranam mantras. The screen will be displaying all the pranam mantras. So, kindly join your palms and let us chant the pranam mantras. Okay. So, let's dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON and my beloved spiritual master. Kindly join your palms and chant along with me the pranam mantras. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahman Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Hare Krishna. We have Achyutanji joining us on YouTube and also Hina Mataji. So welcome back to session number 75. So We were discussing about some very nice, interesting shlokas in chapter 7. So, in chapter 7, we understood that how Krishna explained in the previous verses, he said that how there are four types of people who do not surrender unto me, right? And he also mentioned about the four types of people who actually are my devotees. So, basically, those who are full of faith, Krishna is saying that those who are jnanis, those who are inquisitive, right? And those who are arthati, jignasur, jnani. So all these four categories of people are actually my devotees. We have discussed in detail about what are these different categories of devotees and why they approach the Supreme Lord and why they are called devotees. But Krishna also stressed upon one very important point in the 18th verse. He said that how that out of all these four devotees, although they are my devotees, the jnani is very, very dear to me. Right? He says that in the 18th verse, we said, Udarahas sarva evaite jnanitvatmaiva me matam astitahas sahi yuktatma mam evanuttamam gatim. So, what did the translation say? Translation said, all these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls. So, Krishna is calling them magnanimous souls. Why they are magnanimous souls? Because they are surrendering to Krishna. But he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Just see, Krishna is saying that Jnanitva atmaiva me matam, that such a devotee who is situated in knowledge, I consider is just like my own self. Krishna is giving that kind of a position to a jnani. Why? Because being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me the highest and most perfect goal. So Krishna is very clearly saying that the highest and the perfect goal in spiritual life is actually to surrender unto him and engage in transcendental service to unto Krishna. That is the highest perfection. Krishna is very clearly stating here. So that is why a jnani means not simply who is acquiring knowledge and wanting to get into that impersonal realization. But here, Jnani Krishna is saying that one who is engaged in devotional service. Prabhupada says a true Jnani is one who is actually engaged in devotional service. He is a true Jnani, right? So this was the background. Now, when Jnani is such important person, when Jnani is one who is engaged in the devotional service, now, Krishna is saying that out of these four, Jnani is very important, but do we find these Jnanis everywhere? So, that let us understand what Krishna has to talk about the availability of Jnanis in the world. Let us see. So, Uma Kumar, you can unmute yourself and let's chant the 19th verse.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Bahunam janmanamante
Bahunam janmanam ante
ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते
jnanavan mam prapaddate
वासुदेवः सर्वमिति
vasudeva sarvam iti
स महात्मा सुदुर्लभः.
samahatma sudurlabha.
Once again, bahunam janmanamante
Bahunam janmanam ante
ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते
jnanavan mam prapaddate
वासुदेवः सर्वमिति
vasudeva vaha sarvam iti
स महात्मा सुदुर्लभः.
samahatma sudurlabha.
Wonderful. So please read the translation.
After many births and deaths, he who is actually is knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So, here Krishna is saying that Jnani is very dear to me, but such a Jnani, sa Mahatma sudurlabha, durlabh hai. ज्ञानी कोई आसानी से मिलने वाला इंसान नहीं है. अगर एक ज्ञानी को पहचानना है और जानना है तो it is very difficult. Krishna is saying to find such a jnani is durlabha. Why Krishna is saying that is durlabha? Now there are so many jnanis in the world. We are seeing so many people in the world. There are jnanis, there are people who are discussing Bhagavad Gita. They are talking about spiritual life and they are talking about so many big stuffs, right? So there are so many jnanis. We are discussing Bhagavad Gita. So in that sense, as a speaker and as a listener, we are all jnanis because we are ultimately talking about Krishna, isn't it? So we are all jnanis, but when Krishna is saying durlabha, why is he saying durlabha when there are so many jnanis across the world? Right? He's saying he's very, very rare. Such a person is extremely rare. How can such a person be rare when so many people are discussing about Krishna, discussing about Bhagavad Gita? You know, still he's saying that he's such a person is very rare. So that means there is something more to it. Who is a Jnani then? So Jnani means he's always thinking about Krishna. He's absorbed in thinking about Krishna. It's not simply someone who is talking or listening. It is not enough. One who is completely surrendered to Krishna. So we know a little bit of Krishna, but we are not fully surrendered to Krishna. So that is why Krishna is saying that such a person is always engaged in my devotional service. So we have not attained Krishna still. So that is why we are not jnanis. There are not many jnanis we find because not everybody is fully surrendered. Right? Now, there is a lot of research that goes on. There is a lot of research that goes on in spiritual life. There are so many people who are constantly doing research, trying to find out what is the truth. And they want to go on analyzing about spiritual life. Who is God? Who is God? So that is why Krishna is saying, Bahunam Jannamanam. He's saying that such people who want to understand Krishna with their own efforts, with their own knowledge, with their own ability of intelligence that they have, such people will take Bahunam Janmanam only after many, many lifetimes a person can actually understand who is Vasudevaha. Now, there are two ways. A person with full faith, he can surrender right away in 1 second. He has full faith, and with that full faith, he surrenders to Krishna. But people who do not have full faith, then they do all this trial and error effort of understanding, acquiring knowledge, depending on their own intelligence. And such people will take many, many, many lifetimes, many births to understand what is that understanding? Vasudevam Sarvam Iti. Vasudevaha, that Krishna is the ultimate supreme personality of Godhead. The goal is the same, but they take many, many births. Vasudevaha. Another name of Krishna is Vasudevaha. Why is he called Vasudevaha? Because he is all pervading, one who exists everywhere. He is called Vasudevaha. So all these devatas, they worship this Vasudeva because he's all pervading. So now, Vasudeva doesn't mean that, okay, he's only the son of Vasudeva, that's why he's called Vasudeva. No. Vasudeva, even before Krishna was born to Vasudeva, he was called as Vasudev. The Devatas used to call him Vasudev because he's all pervading. That is the special thing about Krishna. That is why he's called Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. So, People who only by the dint of their knowledge, their intelligence, they want to understand Krishna, they will take many, many births because their advancement is step by step. But what Krishna is telling here is you don't have to go through this. In later section of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying just surrender unto me. And that is what Prabhupada has given us the conclusion. Prabhupada has given us the ultimate solution. What is that? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Why you want to go here, there, step by step process is extremely difficult. When we are discussing about spiritual life to so many people, people are so confused. They have so many different ideas about spiritual life. They just don't want to surrender to Krishna. They have that ego that why should I surrender to Krishna? That is why I want to go on my own knowledge. Basically, there are so many people who are atheistic. They have such a deep feeling that they do everything, but they don't want to surrender to Krishna. They want to enjoy everything, but they don't want to surrender to Krishna. So they are quite confused. Why? Because deep within they are atheists. They don't want to believe the supremacy of the Lord. So then what happens to such people? Bahunam janmanam ante. They gradually progress. Life after life, life after life. So we don't have to do that. When Lord is understood that He's all pervading, Lord is the supreme, then we don't have to take the step by step process. Sarvam, many people, now what Krishna is saying, only a jnanavan ma prapadyate. Such a jnanavan is very rare. But after many, many lifetimes, one will become a jnani and then he will mam prapadyate, he will surrender to me. Then Vasudeva Sarvam. Sarvam means Purna. Everything is complete. Sarvam, Krishna is saying one of the meaning of Sarvam is complete. It includes everything. So when some people say, oh, Vasudeva Sarvam, that means this Vasudeva Sarvam, when he's saying, Krishna is saying he's Sarvam, it also means that he is also matter. And when he's matter, then actually matter is limited. Matter has no consciousness. So that means when Krishna is saying Sarvam, which includes also matter, that means the limitations of the matter also are there in Krishna. Just see, there are people who interpret like this. Vasudeva Sarvam. Sarvam means it includes matter. Matter means then Krishna is saying Sarvam. That means the limitations of the matter are there in Krishna also. Just see, these are the kind of interpretations people come up. So we should understand here that Sarvam means one is complete, Purna, which is all inclusive. At the same time, Sarvam means that everything is in the adhina of Krishna, is under control of Krishna. It's not that because Krishna is saying Sarvam that he has the limitations of the matter, but we should understand that all that matter and spirit is actually under the control of Krishna. That is the meaning. Vasudeva Sarvam iti. That he is the controller of everything. That's why in the previous verses also we have understood Maya Dekshena Prakritihi. So Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. Everything is coming from him, emanating from him, and he's the controller. So this is the right understanding. So that we understand this properly, that Krishna is the controller. So now if Krishna is the ultimate goal, Sarvam, how do we surrender? So that is why the spiritual master has given us a wonderful process. Every day you should chant 16 rounds, follow the four regulative principles, read Bhagavad Gita, be in the association of devotees, have wonderful prasadam. So by doing all this, what is happening? We are reaching that ultimate goal, what Krishna is talking about. What is that ultimate goal? To become closer to him, to become a true jnani. That is our ultimate goal. Now, when Krishna is all alone, that is the ultimate goal, to realize Vasudevaha. Then why there are different processes? Why this process, that process, so many religions? When the goal is one, why there are different processes? This question may be raised, this question can come, right? So that is why Krishna is going to explain this. Why there is so much of confusion when there is ultimate goal is only one. The ultimate goal is to realize Krishna, but why there is so much of confusion in the world? Why there are so many different paths? So that Krishna is going to explain in the next verse. Okay, so let us understand what is that next verse. So Vinodji, please unmute yourself and let us chant the next verse. It's very interesting verse.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानः
कामस्तेस्ते यज्ञाय
प्रपद्यन्तेऽन्यदेवतः
प्रपद्यन्ते देवताः
तं तं नियमम् आस्थाय
तं नियमम् आस्थाय
प्रकृत्या नियतः स्वया.
प्रकृताय नियत आशयाः
Once again. कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानः
कामस्तेस्तेर्नियतज्ञाय
प्रपद्यन्त्यन्यदेवतः
प्रपद्यन्ते
तं तं नियममास्थाय
तं नियमम् आस्थाय
प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया.
प्रकृतानि आस्थया.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures.
Hmm. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
So, so there are a lot of people whose intelligence is being taken away by material desires. And such people, they actually worship the demigods, the devatas. Kamaisaista vritagnyanaha prapadyantanya devataha. So let us understand this now. So what Krishna is saying here, that there are many different kinds of people who are mixed with so many desires, and they're all influenced by the different material modes, sattva, rajas, tamas, material modes of nature. And generally, such people are not after liberation. They are not thinking about liberating from this material world because they have lot of desires. They want to be here and enjoy this world. Kamastaitsarvritagnyanaha. They have so many desires. They are not interested in liberation. Now, when anybody is helping them or facilitating their kamaistaistaritagnyana, their enjoyment propensities, then they want to worship them. Just see, this is what is happening. So, they want to gain a lot of power, they want to get a lot of enjoyment through the spiritual process. Just see, they want spirituality and enjoy their sensual activities and sense gratification. This is how it is going on, especially in India. There are a lot of people, they go to a spiritualist, a saint, a sadhu, and they actually ask for some material benefits. Swamiji, please give me this. I am suffering from this disease. Give me some medicine. I have a lot of trouble in my head, my stomach. Something they will go and Swamiji, please give me something. Just see, they go to saintly people to get rid of some disease because they think that a Swamiji is less expensive than a doctor. So that is why they go to such people, to great saints, and they will ask for these kind of material desires. So why? Because kama is the ritagnyanaha. Their intelligence is only limited to sense enjoyment. And because there are so many such people who wants to enjoy all the sense gratification in the name of spirituality, then there are a lot of so called saints. They're not to be called as saints, they're actually swindlers. So then what happens? Such swindlers, in the vesha of saints, they will go from village to village, town to town. So there was this one saint, so called swindler, who goes and he will say, okay, my dear villagers, if you give me 1 ounce of gold, 1 tola of gold, whatever, 1 gram of gold, I will make it 10 grams of gold and I will give it to you. Right? So now this person will go to all the villages, he will collect every house, he'll collect 1 gram or 1 tola of gold, and then he'll say, I'll perform a ceremony. Everybody is excited because, oh, our 1 gram of gold is now becoming 10 grams. Such a wonderful thing it is. And then when the ceremony is going on, this Swamiji automatically, with the gold, he will vanish. In front of their eyes, he will vanish, gone. See, this is what will happen. So there are some siddhis they'll collect gold from everywhere and they'll vanish. Then we feel cheated. Why we feel cheated? Why? Because we were carried away by that kamaista ritagnyanaha. We want to go to such people. Why? Because we want to satisfy. Why people go to temples, church, mosque? Why? Because somewhere deep within they feel that, oh, the Lord can help me in my sense gratification. This Sadhu Baba, whoever it is, they will help me in my sense gratification. So, such disease is there in people. It's not a problem with those people, the Swamis or the swindlers. The problem is we are encouraging such people. With all this material profits, when we have this kind of ideas of material profits, then we will get cheated. Somewhere or anywhere, somewhere we will get cheated. So that is why we should be very alert. We should not get carried away by such things. That is why Krishna is warning us. We don't have to become the dolls of lust. Many people have become the dolls of lust, our own karma, and then we are simply being used as puppets by so many people. We have lost our senses. Krishna is saying, don't lose, don't get carried away by such things. So, Rita Jnanaha, Rita means one who has lost his good sense. Rita Jnanaha, wonderful good sense is being lost. Why? Because kamaha. So we are all looking for some results. We always want to do something because we want to get some material benefits. That's why there are so many gurus today. There are so many spiritualists today. Big fan following, hundreds and thousands of likes. So many people of following is there on social media, and people are praising them. And moment we see such people, when we come across such people, we feel, oh, big the following, the bigger the guru. He's such a great jnani. And there are people who are very, very good speakers. And through their speaking abilities, they will mesmerize the people. And then people think that he's such a great jnani, right? Everybody goes and falls to their, and then he will have some powers, and with that power he'll mesmerize people even more. Such thing is going on. The bigger the following, the bigger the guru. And why such people are becoming so powerful? If he is not a true jnani as per Krishna's definition of a jnani, why such people are becoming so famous if he is not a jnani? Right? That is why we should understand that such people, because of their sadhana, whatever sadhana they have done, they have acquired certain ability either to speak, to convince people, or gain some siddhis. All these things they have acquired because of their sadhana, and Krishna respects that. Krishna respects and he gives that power to them because they have performed a certain sadhana. And as long as that sadhana, whatever level of sadhana they have done, Krishna will empower and give them that name and fame. But moment that is done, they will fall back. That is why Krishna is saying, if you also go to this limited people who have limited sadhana and limited name and fame, and you fall prey to thinking that, okay, he is the great guru or the Supreme Lord himself, then you will be disheartened. You will fall in your spiritual life. And many times, when many people lose faith, with a lot of faith, they go to such people, and when they see that he's not up to the mark, then they lose completely faith in spirituality itself, faith in scriptures. And that is why such people are more dangerous to the society, because these people take away the innocent people away from spirituality. This is happening. I have seen personally with my own eyes that many people lose interest in spirituality because of such things. It's the greatest disservice that these people do. And how many are there today? You just see on the social media so many people talking all nonsense. They don't even refer to scriptures or the Bhagavad Gita. They have become big, big gurus, and people are madly following them just because they talk all this touchy feely or sometimes very logical things. People start following them. And Krishna is saying, be aware of such people. Just because he knows some mantra, tantra, he does not qualify to become a jnani. If he's calling himself to be a jnani, it is still okay, although it is not okay, but there are so many people who claim themselves to be God. What to talk about a jnani is they don't even call themselves as guru, they call themselves as gods. I'm avatar of Krishna. This is what is going on, and people follow. Can you imagine? Thousands of people follow. Oh, he is the avatar of the Lord. So this is a very beautiful pastime that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam also. So there was this great devotee, Vasudev, who is the father of Krishna. But before he actually begot Krishna, Vasudev was once traveling through this Kashi region, and the king then there was actually performing a swayamvara. He was wanting to give away his daughter in marriage. And when Vasudeva approached the king there, and as a process of swayamvara, it so happened that the king of Kashi then actually handed over his daughter to Vasudev, and they got married. But it was on one condition. The marriage happened on one condition. What was that condition? This king of Kashi did not have any children, no sons. He had no sons. Now, who will rule the kingdom after his death? That was his anxiety. So, in the olden days, in the Vedic times, there was a system. What was the system? The system is Putrika Putra Nyaya. That means I will give my daughter to you, and my daughter's son will become my son. So, although I'm the grandfather, but I will accept the son of my daughter as my son so that he can continue the lineage. So, on this condition of Putrika Putra Nyaya, Vasudev married the daughter of this particular king. And later on, when they begot a son, the son was made the son of the king. And then Vasudev said, see, I alone now cannot handle this, because if I give the son and I take away the mother, it will be inappropriate. So let your daughter and this son of mine be here. You take care of them. So that is how Vasudeva had this son. Now, this son's name was Poundraka. What was his name? Poundraka. So, this Poundraka Vasudeva, he was called because his name was Poundraka and he was the son of Vasudeva. He's called Poundraka Vasudeva. He became famous like that. Now, this Poundraka, when he started growing up, there was this thinking in the society at that time that Vasudeva's son will be the avatar of Vishnu. This news had spread because anyway it was the future, right? It was already going to come that Vasudeva's son will be the avatar of Vishnu. So now this Poundraka took advantage. He started proclaiming himself as I am the son of Vasudeva and I am the avatar of Vishnu. Can you imagine? This Kaundraka started claiming himself to be God. And he used to go and meet people and say that I am Krishna, I am Vasudeva, I am the avatar of Lord Vishnu. And there used to be different jnanis every time in the gathering. They used to come and ask. And oh, well, one such jnani came and he asked Kaundraka, Vishnu has four hands, you have only two hands. So this Paundraka, he managed himself to get four hands. He also had done some tapasya. So he managed himself to get four hands and he started claiming, see, I also have four. Another Gnani came and said, now, actually, Vishnu, he travels on Garuda Vahana. Where is your Garuda? So this Paundraka, he managed himself to go to some jewelry shop at that time. He got one gold Garuda. And then now he's sitting on the Garuda asana, but this Garuda is not flying. People were saying, oh, your Garuda is not flying only. Then he went to the Smashana and he started praying to the Bhutas there so that they give him the power to fly. And they should help him in actually taking this whole Garuda Vahana in the sky. Kamaisthaistar Ritagnyanaha Anya Devataha. He started, this is how. You know what's happening here? He wanted to get power and he wanted to fly in the air on this Garuda Asana. So he started praying to the Bhutas. And then all these people, these Bhutas, they started helping him because he was praying and worshipping them. So he started flying on Garuda. Oh, wonderful now. Four hands, Kirita, Shankh Chakra also he is having. He is flying on the Garuda Vahana. All this was going on. Then another Jnani came and he said, what is this? How can you call yourself as a Vasudev? Because Vishnu means he should have Srivatsa on his chest. You don't have that Srivatsa Chinna on your chest. Oh, is it so? This Paundraka, he was thinking what to do now. So one fine day, when the it was something was getting cooked, he took the coal, and with the coal, he actually created that chinna, Srivasta chinna on his chest. He burned his chest, and then he went out on the public, and then with his bare chest, he was trying to show off. Now, see, I have the chinna on my chest. I have Srivatsa also on my chest. So this was going on. He was claiming himself to be God as Krishna in the presence of Krishna. Can you imagine? Then Krishna had to come, interfere, and then Krishna smashed this person, Paundraka. And then in Varanasi, uh, everybody was shocked and they understood that, oh, this was a fake Krishna actually. But now the true Krishna is here. So that is why we should know and understand that there will be a lot of such people, swindlers, who are moving around in the society who are claiming themselves to be great jnanis, great supreme Lord. But we should be alert. We should not fall for such things. That's what Krishna is warning us. Be very careful because such people are all only fashion gurus. Fashion gurus who are actually controlled by their own fans. There is a lot of fan following, but at the same time, these people are also praising their own fans. They are looking for such fans who can praise them. And they in turn also praise their fans. Oh, see, I have so many wonderful fans. Big shots, lot of celebrities are my fans. All this is going on. Everything in the name of spirituality. Do you know this? This is what is happening. So, just because there is a lot of crowd doesn't mean that he's a jnani. There is a lot of crowd in the government offices also, but there is very less crowd in a diamond shop. Correct? So just by the mere fact of seeing such a big crowd doesn't make somebody very big jnani. So please understand that such people should be avoided. Always use our intelligence to discriminate between who is a true jnani and not a jnani. We should dive deeper. Those who are superficially want to enjoy their senses, such people will fall. They will fall prey to such nonsense swindlers and they get cheated. So that is why Krishna is saying, don't fall to these people and Anya Devataha. Such people go and worship Anya Devataha. Why? Because they want quick results. And what to talk about the Vedic Devatas, who are actually the devotees of Krishna, these days there is another fashion. Another fashion is what? Not just fashion gurus, there are fashion devatas also. Some devatas who are not mentioned in the scriptures anywhere are also becoming devatas. This is Kali Yuga. You go to Shirdi, you will see what is happening. Devata. What to talk about Devata? They have made someone to be the Supreme Lord. This is what is happening. They chant Vedic mantras. They have, like Krishna Ashtottara, they have Ashtottara for a particular Devata. We have Purusha Shukta, they chant Purusha Shukta for this particular Devata, man made Devata. And today, in Maharashtra, in Andhra, and so many places in Karnataka, everywhere this Devata is being worshipped. Everywhere. So many people without knowledge. And then there are movies made on that. Then there are TV serials made on that. And then people are seeing that and then worshipping. So much of nuisance is going on. Man-made devatas. And many such man-made devatas will sprout very soon in Kali Yuga. Krishna is saying, don't worship Anya Devata. And we are creating devatas. Just see the situation of the society today. So that's why we should be very intelligent. That's why Krishna is making it very clear. Don't get lost by these things. Kamaistaister ritagnyanaha. Why should we fall when Krishna is offering himself directly? Why should we get into such nonsensical things? Just because we have lusty desires, all these material desires, we go to these demigods, devatas. So Krishna is very clearly stating, don't fall prey to such things. Right? Okay. So let's add Hinamataji and Devi is also here. So Hinamataji, you can unmute yourself and let's chant the next verse, the 21st verse. Is this visible to you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha
यो यो यां यां तनुं भक्तः
श्रद्धयार्चितुमिच्छति
श्रद्धयार्चितुमिच्छति
तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धाम्
तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धाम्
तामेव विदधाम्यहम्.
तामेव विदधाम्यहम्.
Once again, yo yo yam tanum bhaktaha
यो यो यां यां तनुं भक्तः
श्रद्धयाचितुमिच्छति
श्रद्धयार्चितुमिच्छति
तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धाम्
तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धाम्
तामेव विदधाम्यहम्.
तामेव विदधाम्यहम्.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
I am in everyone's heart as the supersoul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Hare Krishna. See, Krishna is saying here that I am in everyone's heart as super soul, and it is because of me that the faith that these people have on all these different devatas, it actually is being enabled by me. So see, Krishna is saying that even when such people they want to go and worship Anya Devataha, that faith also is enabled by me. Just see why Krishna is doing this. because there are varieties of people. They cannot come to Krishna directly. They don't want to accept Krishna. And in the previous verse, there are so many material desires. And Krishna is saying, okay, no problem. Such people, they are actually lost. But if I don't give them someone to worship, they will not worship at all. And they will be totally lost. At least let them at least begin somewhere to worship. Have faith on someone. Let them surrender to someone. And gradually, Bahunama Janamanamante, they will come to me. Let them at least start somewhere. So that out of concern, Krishna is okay, no problem. You want to worship, that faith also I'll give you. I'll make that faith in particular devata or particular guru, that I will make it intact. I will help you in that process. See how Krishna is so detached. He could have become very selfish and said, no, 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 why other devatas? Let me all come. Let them all come to me only. No, Krishna is very liberal. Why is he liberal? Because he wants devotees to come to him with love, not by force, not with unwillingness. That is why jnanis are dear to him. Why? Because jnanis will understand Krishna and they will surrender to Krishna. But such people who are filled with so many material desires, they want to run here and there. They don't want to worship Krishna. Such worshippers are called Mishrayaji. Mishrayaji means they are all mixed up. Today they will worship this devata because they have some sarpadosha. They will go to Kalahasti in near Tirupati. They will go to Subramanya in Karnataka. Oh, because sarpadosha is there, I want to go and worship. And then no, 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 I want some beautiful husband or wife. Then they'll go and worship Uma and Parvati accordingly. So many devatas are there. For good health, then they will pray to sun god. For good vegetation, then they will pray for moon god. For rains, they will pray to Indra. Isn't it? So many devatas. In India, we know so many different temples are there. All different people have different desires, and that is why they go to accordingly those particular devatas and they worship them. Anya devataha, they worship because they're all Mishrayajis. They worship Vishnu, they worship Shiva, they worship everybody, all misr. Khichdi it is. And ultimately, what is happening? That Eka Bhaktaha, what Krishna had explained, that unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord on the Paramatma doesn't come. Why? Because they're confused. Now, that is why Mahabharata, if when we read, we come across so many such pastimes of people who were worshippers of Vishnu and who were worshippers of Anya Devataha. And one great example is of this Jarasandha. You all have heard about Jarasandha. Jarasandha was such a powerful warrior. He had strength of more than 10,000 elephants. Extremely powerful he was. Very, very powerful. Now, even such person like Jarasandha had done tapasya. They all follow niyamaha, right? They all follow niyama. It's not that they are doing it out of some blue. No, they follow some rules and regulations also. But what rules and regulations? To please some devata. So this Jarasandha was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva. Can you imagine? He's extremely powerful, but he's still, being so powerful, he was still worshipping Lord Shiva. At least he surrendered to Lord Shiva. He was worshipping him nicely. That too, again, it is very incomplete surrender. He was worshipping Shiva not with only to praise Shiva, or he was a very ardent devotee. Ultimately, he wants to satisfy his desire. Kama ista ista rita jnana. He wants to become very powerful. He wants to be always powerful, but he wants support from Lord Shiva. That is why he is worshipping Lord Shiva. He was such a dveshi of Lord Vishnu that this Jarasandha, he never used to go and take a dip in Ganga. Never he used to go and take bath in Mother Ganges. Why? Because the origin of Ganga is the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Correct? Because Vamanadev actually pierced the universe, and that is how the pure water started flowing in. So this Jarasandha said, water of Ganga is being coming from from the lotus feet of Vishnu, and I am a Dveshi of Vishnu. I will not take dip in Mother Ganga. Just see, this was his pratigya, so-called pratigya. And then when people asked him, okay, you don't want to take a dip in Mother Ganga, but you should understand the Ganga is being taken on the head of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is actually taking the load of Mother Ganga and it is flowing from Shiva. That I don't believe anything. That is not, I am not concerned about that. See, Lord Shiva is taking Mother Ganga on his head because Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee. He is the greatest Vaishnava. But this Jarasandha, when he is told like that, he will say, no, no, I don't care. This is where these people worship Lord Shiva, but incompletely. So we should be very careful of such people, always twisting. They always keep changing their positions. Today they'll talk something, tomorrow they'll talk something. Why? Because they're confused. They don't know what is true. But even for that, that faith what they have, what Jarasandha had, that faith in Lord Shiva, that he will give me that ultimate strength and protection and everything. Okay. Krishna says, I will only enable that faith in Lord Shiva for you. That is the Supreme Lord. So that is why when we understand Mahabharata, we will clearly see what happened to the worshippers of Devatas and what happened to the worshippers of Lord Vishnu. Very clearly we'll see the destination of all these Anya Devata worshippers is only doomed. They will ultimately be destroyed. And that's exactly what happened to the Jarasandha. Although he was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva, what happened? He was killed by Bhima. Who is Bhima? Bhima is a worshipper of Krishna. So the worshipper of Krishna is always victorious over the worshipper of Anya Devataha. This is very clear. So if you want to become truly victorious in your spiritual life, then only Eka Bhaktaha, you have to become a devotee of Lord Krishna. Nothing else, really nothing else matters. Krishna is saying, just don't worship any one of these. In the next section, he's going to talk about it. Anya devatas are not required for a spiritual life. Only materialistic people go there. Right? So, if we understand Mahabharata properly, we will become very clear about all these different things. And you will see in the history of our Vedic literature, all the devatas, Devata worshippers are doomed. You take Ravana, you take Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, he worshipped Lord Brahma. Ravana, again, he worshipped Lord Shiva. All these people were destroyed. Everybody, the Devatas, no matter how great a person he might be, the worshipper of the Devatas are going to get only temporary benefits. So Krishna is saying, don't go for it. As devotees, we should understand this. Never worship all these Devatas. So this should be understood properly, completely. Then we will understand what is Krishna's position. So Mahabharata is like a Vishwarupa, it's a universal form, which will explain everything. And Bhagavad Gita, which is within Mahabharata, is like Krishna, Krishna Rupa. Mahabharata is Vishwarupa, Bhagavad Gita is Krishna Rupa. We'll understand specifically what Krishna is talking about. So that's why Bhagavad Gita we talk so much extensively, because we want to understand Krishna. Right? So this is how Krishna is explaining that this jnani is one, is very rare, bahunama janmanamante, and why such people actually, not everybody becomes a jnani, because kama is the jnana that he explained in the 20th verse, and in 21st verse he's saying that even if these people are worshipping different devatas, that faith in that devata is actually enabled by me alone. So Krishna is so merciful. He does that also. So this is what we have explained today, and we have understood today and discussed this. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay. Achutanji or Dev, Vinodji, Hina Mataji, Ma Kumar, any questions? In the next few verses, Krishna is going to completely condemn the Devata worship. He says only less alpameda saha, only less intelligent people, they worship the Devatas. Very clearly he states that. So this is a good chance for us actually to understand Krishna nicely, and it cannot be more clear than this. Krishna has made it very clear that we all have to become jnanis and just surrender unto me. That's it, right? So, any questions? So please read Bhagavad Gita again and again. This constantly reading will help, and it will give more and more clarity because every time we read, there will be newer and newer things coming in. They were saying, why do we not serve in the temple for particular amount of days after someone is born or when someone leaves the body? So because that's the mourning phase. We are mourning, right, for the one who has passed away. And also, when there is some newborn, there is a lot of elation in the family. So, when worship, especially deity worship, we can always chant the holy names, but deity worship is not recommended because it may so happen that in that excitement of having a newborn in the family, we may not worship properly, we may neglect, and we may commit some offenses. And at the same time, when we are too distressed and we are mourning for the lost, we may also again distracted, and in that distraction, we may not do the worship properly, and we may offend the Lord in some way. So that is why, in this very elated way, in elation and in most distressful condition, we are asked to not worship for few days, so that we are not committing any offenses. And we don't, with full involvement, we don't do because our mind is absorbed somewhere else. So the Lord, deity worship means we have to be in complete absorption of the Lord, right? So in that full absorption, we should worship the Lord. So because we'll not be able to do that in this conditioned state, that's why we are told not to worship. Deity worship is not an ordinary thing. When we understand the intricacies of deity worship, there is so much details in the temples and all. When deity worship is done, it is done with so much of details. Every day, Shodacha Upachara and kind of artis and everything that goes on, you must have seen in the temples. In the ISKCON temple, we do so much elaborate deity worship. So Pujari cannot be lost somewhere in his mind. He should be very much present when he's offering the food. He cannot be disturbed because when the with the Lord, you should always be very very joyous. You cannot be sorrowful in front of the Lord. That's again not good. So when you read the nectar of devotion, in the nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, written by Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada's English translation is also there. You will understand the different types of or different aspects of deity worships. There are so many things involved in deity worship. So that is why we are asked only to avoid deity worship and do the puja and everything, but we can chant the holy names. There is no restriction for Shravanam and Kirtanam, there is no restriction. In any state of life, we can chant the glories of the Lord and we can listen the glories of the Lord. There is no restriction for that at all. So that is very, very interesting and that we can take benefit of chanting and listening. So that is why even when there is a loss in the family, there is a, discussion on the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Garuda Purana. Many people also read Garuda Purana at this time so that people understand the what happens after life. Garuda Purana is very interesting because people don't know what happens after death. So Garuda Purana explains the journey of the soul after death, from after death to taking birth. So, what happens between the death and birth, next birth? All that is very beautifully discussed in Garuda Purana. That gives clarity. And then all these rituals during this phase, when somebody has left the family, then what happens in this phase? A lot of things are involved that Garuda Purana explains that we can discuss sometime. That's why Lupta Pindo Daka Kriyaha. Arjuna had asked in the first chapter itself that this Pindadana will go away if there is Varna Sankara. So Lupta Pindo Daka Kriyaha. This Pindo Daka Kriya has to happen. That's one of the responsibilities. It's the greatest, one of the devotional act again. Pindodaka Kriya is also, in one sense, a very wonderful act of getting closer to Krishna. In every process, we are worshipping Krishna. All the yagnas that we do, every puja punuskar that we do, it is all for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So even when the pujari comes and performs the rituals, last rituals, it is with the intention of pleasing Krishna again. Nothing can, no yagnas actually happen with the uh, without the uh, intention of pleasing Krishna. All yagnas are actually directed towards pleasing Krishna. So we will discuss about this again more because very interesting things are there in Garuda Purana. It is one of the very fascinating things also to know what happens to us after death. Of course, if we become pure devotees, then destination is very clear. We are going to go back to Godhead. But if not, then what happens to all these normal people? What happens to them after that? It's very, very interesting. Very interesting. All right. So, any more questions? Good. So please take care, and we will continue from where we have left. So next session we will discuss from verse number 22. Until then, all of you please keep chanting and reading Bhagavad Gita. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to drop a message or you can call me anytime. Okay. So please take care, all of you, and we will meet again. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.